Conversations, episode Steven Strasberg. I am your host, Becks, and whether you are a longtime listener joining us again or a first-time listener here for the first time, welcome in, and we hope that you will be back for future episodes as well. The best way to keep up with the podcast is to follow us, like us, give us a subscribe on all of your social media networks as well as your streaming platform of choice. We are on all the majors for both social media and platforms: Facebook, X at KBEX_ATC, Instagram at cornversationspod, and again on all of the major streaming services. But if there is one that you listen to and you can't find us, let us know. Those of you that listen to Apple Podcasts in particular, if you could give us a rate and review, that would be very much appreciated. The way that they do their algorithms, it very much helps our visibility as a podcast when there are recent ratings and reviews. So again, you can get in contact with us on all of those networks, but if you want to keep people guessing and have a mailbag question for a future show, you can also send us that question via cornversationspod@gmail.com. I've been really excited to finally do this episode. This is one of the few instances where there has actually been a plan to what is going to be talked about prior to the week of the show. And the reason that I say that is because several weeks ago, the guests who are going to be on today and I started to come up with this idea to talk about something that doesn't get a lot of airtime, either on your over-the-air networks or on podcasts. And that's really kind of a shame because it's a great thing. I think that it does a lot for the game that it's a part of, and it's something that I think most people in one way or another can find enjoyment in, despite the fact that it's not necessarily the top competition when it comes to its respective discipline, and that would be minor league baseball. Before I introduce the two guests for this episode, I'm gonna write a little love letter or talk a little love letter about minor league baseball because it is one of my favorite sports that exists. I've been to a ton of minor league baseball games, from the Vermont Expos, now Lake Monsters, all the way to the Lake Elsinore Storm and lots of places in between. And I can tell you, while I don't remember any of the scores of the games that I've been to, and I don't really remember a lot of what went on during those games either, I can tell you that going to those games is something I will never get tired of, no matter how many of them that I actually go and attend. And the reason for that, and I actually had a chance to work in minor league baseball for a couple of years in college, and a couple of my bosses at the time, shout out Seth Rhodes and Pat Thompson. I know they're not listening to this show, but I very much hope they will at some point. One of them said that minor league baseball has the most creative minds in marketing that sports has. And I think there's a lot of truth to that, because something that minor league baseball deals with that a lot of other sports that people attend do not is that you're not typically going to the games for the game itself. You're going for the entertainment. And that's actually why I have the two guests on the show, is because they are two of my more creative buddies that I know, and you know them well because they've been on the show as well. I think it's finally time to introduce or reintroduce the Kernel and the Thumbnail, who are going to help talk about minor league baseball and hopefully give it the attention that it deserves on the airwaves. So, Thumbnail, Kernel, welcome in. Thanks for being here, guys. How are we doing this evening?
Thank you, Kyle. Great to be back. That was beautiful. I mean, for a love letter, I'd write you back.
Thank you.
Thumbnail here. Third time on the show. Before we get started, I do just want to take a quick moment of silence for the Florida Fire Frogs. Single A baseball team in the middle of Florida, Orlando area, disbanded in the year 2020. I think there was a realignment in the minor league system. And if you've ever been to a Fire Frog game, you just know how electric it is with the fans in the stadium, operational excellence, and just a shame they're no longer around. So we're going to take a few moments here, just quick moment of silence, and we'll get on with the podcast. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Amen.
Beautiful.
Amen.
Thumbnail, thanks for that. First off, where were the Fire Frogs? What city were they in? Do you know?
So Actually, Colin's, I think, family might have a timeshare or some sort of property down there, so he actually would know better. But I think it was Capit. What
No,
is it? Capizzi? I can't say that city.
my name's Kernel, bub.
Oh yes, Kernel.
No, it's
Basically
Kissimmee. It's like
Orlando.
Kissimmee or whatever. It's the Orlando area. So the
Okay.
Fire Frogs are there. They were the low A team of the, I believe, Atlanta Braves. So
Okay.
yeah, we went down there for a game. Probably, God, what year was that?
2019.
19, and yeah, it was we. They gave us seats right behind the bullpen, and these guys, they were fun to talk to. I'll tell you that. They weren't too interested in the game, but we also they played the Tampa Bay Rays low A team, and so we got to see a young hotshot prospect who we probably can't name because he got into a lot of underage legal trouble. But it was pretty exciting because he was the number one prospect in baseball. So it was at the time cool to see him. Now in hindsight, what a scumbag. So but it was an unreal environment, and some of the promotions of that game kind of tied into what we're going to talk about. And I actually have a little bit of history with the Fire Frogs that I would like to share later because these promotions are right up their alley.
Hey, I think that is a great segue into kind of the first thing that I want to talk about as far as minor league baseball is concerned, and maybe a little bit of history lesson for the listeners out there before we start. When I think about promotions, not only just in baseball, but in sports in general, you have to think about the godfather of baseball promotions, Bill Veeck. This is a guy that has come up with or came up with a lot of things that people really see as synonymous with baseball. He was the guy who came up with the idea to put ivy on the walls at Wrigley Field. He integrated the American League by having Larry Doby sign with the Cleveland Indians. And then he actually passed down his talents to his son, Mike, who was maybe most infamously known as the promotions director responsible for the Disco Demolition Night at Comiskey Park in 1979 with the Chicago White Sox, which interestingly actually almost killed Mike's career in baseball. There's a really good
Didn't?
documentary for anybody interested on Netflix called The Saint of Second Chances. It's kind of about Mike's life in general and what he ended up doing many years after the Disco Demolition Night with a team called the St. Paul Saints, which are actually now a AAA team. They were not initially, but now they are the AAA affiliate of the Twins. And one of the things that Bill Veeck said about baseball is that you can draw more people in with a losing team plus bread and circuses than you can with a losing team and a long, still silence. And I think that is the best way to sum up why minor league baseball continuously gets people into the stands, despite the fact that there's not always a hot prospect playing on the field. In fact, many times nobody even knows many of the guys who are playing on the field, but somehow they're still showing up. And that's why I want to ask the first question to you guys. I already have my opinion out there, but what do you guys think? I mean, is there anything in sports that rivals minor league baseball when it comes to the marketing prowess that the staff on these clubs are able to put together?
Thumb, you want to take this one first?
Yeah, I would definitely say that double A and single A baseball obviously have to get creative to get fans in the seats. So I would say that that's like the mecca of like fun theme nights and things like that. I think if you look at some of the startup football leagues, like the like Arena League back in the day, and the UFL, they had a couple theme nights. But at the end of the day, I do think minor league baseball takes the cake when it comes to like creativity with names, uniforms, and theme nights.
Yeah, for sure. They're definitely the best because they have to be. Like all the other leagues can just kind of ride off of their league or brand of their team. But I also like minor league baseball because it's not that serious. Because some of these promotions I think we're going to talk about, like if the Cubs did it or the Yankees did it, they would be, I think, under pretty fire and be like, "That's so corny. You're the Yankees." Blah blah blah. But if the Trash Pandas do it, it's cool and spunky.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's
What about what?
the minor league baseball is by far the king.
I will say bowl games. We touched on this, and we won't talk about it too long. But the bowl games for college football are kind of leaning into that as well.
that's a
And
really
kind of
good
because
point.
they have to,
Yeah.
because it kind of like minor league baseball, the product's gotten worse because all these guys are sitting out for either, back in the day it was the draft, and now it's draft and transfer portal, so they have to. I think it's a really good comparison.
Yeah,
Shout out Pop Tarts.
I do as well. Pop Tarts Bowl, the Xbox Bowl did an excellent job last year. I mean, I can't think of a worse environment and honestly a worse matchup than the Xbox Bowl last year between, I think it was Arkansas State and somebody else. And they were playing in the practice facility of the Dallas Cowboys. And yet somehow it became a viral phenomenon for a couple of days because everybody was enamored with Master Chief coming out and presenting the trophy to the winner and the players of the game. And, it's things like that that really do reflect kind of what minor league baseball has been doing for a long time. And the other thing that I want to go back to was something that you said, Kernel, about some of these other professional leagues. It's almost like they don't have to try. I don't remember who told me this, but they said one of the best jobs that you can have in sports if you're on the sales side is in the NFL ticketing office because you sell out all of your season tickets without even having to try. I mean, you're barely even having to call people back that have those tickets because even when the team isn't good, there's usually a sell to get them to continue to renew. And it just isn't the case in minor league baseball. And it's why these people have to continue to come up with fresh ideas in order for fans to come out. And I think this is probably the best time to do this would be to really get into what I think is going to be the meat of this show, which is the top five lists that you guys have put together of your favorite promotions that you have seen in minor league baseball. So I don't know which one of you wants to kick it off, but I think this is a great place to start.
Now, question: do we want to start with the number one and go to five, or 5 to 1?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I think 5 to 1 is going to keep the listeners on their toes. So if you guys are okay with that, I think that's the way to go.
Now that made me think of a promotion or something to spice up minor league baseball, because we're going opposite of like a batting order. What if the manager had to submit a batting order, but he doesn't know which way it's going to go, and before the game they spin a wheel up on the jumbotron and it decides if you're going 1 to 9, 9 to 1.
Well, what's even more interesting about that is that baseball analytics today is saying that you shouldn't put your best hitter as leadoff anymore. So that actually is quite
All
interesting.
right, Brad Pitt. Moneyball.
All right. So who's starting?
Also, I forgot to
Thumbnail, Colonel.
mention. Now it's coming back to me. Anderson Varejao Wignite, great promotion. And back in the day, the Cavs broke the record for most snuggies in one area or game for like 18 or 19,000 people with the snuggies. So those were some great promotions back
The
in
pros have the means to do great giveaways. I feel like they don't get too creative on the promotions because they don't have to. Their biggest thing is they just got to win. That's their best promotion, is just win. Like, you could tell me the Clippers are on a 12-game win streak, and I'd be like, okay, awesome, but what kind of discount are they giving me on my Sugardale Beauty? Like,
Yeah,
I
that's exactly
don't
right.
really care about the Clippers record. Sorry, that probably offends some Clippers fans, but
No, I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's going to the games to watch a winner in minor league baseball. In fact, if you
No.
have a winner for too long, it's probably suggestive about what your professional team, at the major
True.
league level is doing. So I
True.
think it actually works against you to be good for too long at the minor league level.
Yeah, I've never been beat up over a Clips loss.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay. So number five, which one of you wants to start this off? And I will let everybody know. Becks is not super creative. I don't have anything, but I'll come in at points.
Okay, I'll go first. Um, we might have some overlap here, like we mentioned. And I went like no pun intended, but fastball with a lot of my picks. Like I just think these are great themes. it always hits and can't go wrong. But number 5, it's a mix of 2 themes kind of into one. Bark at the park and take me out to the ball game. You bring your cat to the stadium, take me out, meow to the ball game. I think bringing a dog to the stadium, just good vibes. And I really liked it when the Florida Marlins, there was that viral dog like a month or two ago that watched another dog like eat a hot dog. And the dog was in the background and it looked really depressed because it's like, I want to eat that hot dog, but I don't have one. And it went viral for its reaction. And then like the Marlins put out a tweet saying like, we need to find this dog. Twitter did its thing. They ended up finding the dog and they brought the dog in for like an all inclusive day and whatever. So that's the power of social media. But that's a theme that I enjoy.
Do do you think that there's any potential drawback with that particular promotion in terms of animal etiquette? Because I have to imagine every time one of those is done that you have a dog that unfortunately doesn't remember that he's not allowed to go on the concrete. And does that ruin the fan experience at all for those involved, or is that just part of the game and you have to expect it when you do that?
That's not a prize in my Cracker
What
Jack
about
that
the
I want,
people at the
Bub.
NFL games that are puking by the second quarter? Those people aren't held to that standard.
Good point. That's true. And honestly, I feel like you have a little bit of leeway as a dog or a pet doing something that you shouldn't be doing, as
But
opposed to.
if someone yacked at the seat where I'm like, you're getting the boot. Like it's not gonna be like, oh, you dummy, and then
That's
you keep
true.
watching the game. Like if you got Upchuck on your Jonathan Stewart jersey, like you're like,
That's a good point. There was one other etiquette too was the I think the Tampa Bay Rays did this a couple years ago. They kind of like trolled the dog owners a little bit and they played the Ring doorbell sound and all the dogs started barking and that shit was funny.
yeah, that that was awesome. But I mean, this one was not anywhere close to my top five. I'm not a pet guy, so like, I get that this like I would never like I like goldfish and fish and like I don't see like a gills at the ballpark like night or something. But like I'd like to point out if you're doing a thing like this, then you don't have like human butts in seats. Like you're expecting your stadium to be empty because half of the section is taken up by dogs. So I would rather have boisterous humans, but I know we're talking about minor league baseball, so it doesn't really matter. But I don't know. It wasn't on my list just because I'm not a pet guy, but I just don't. I think it's cool for the person who brings their dog or cat. I don't think it's cool for anyone else. Like, I know a lot of people like to look at the dogs and, oh, they're cute. Can I pet them? But that's the part of the non pet in me that I don't like. So I'm just a hater. I understand that, but I've never had any interest in that promotion.
Oh, fair enough. What's on your number 5, Colonel?
My number five. So I put this at five. Personally, it's probably more towards the top because it's near and dear to all of our hearts. But I wanted to kind of just get it out of the way and get to some of the other ones. But I just have Diamond Dog slash discount food. Like, and it's not strictly just Diamond Dog, but um, any listeners who are not familiar with the Clippers, I know we probably have a lot of Clippers listeners, but they legit just sell hot dogs for 10 cents. So um, it's probably the best promotion period in my eyes. I don't know if K Becks has any info on this, but didn't the rumor is didn't they actually lose a bunch of money on this promotion?
I
I
have to
thought.
imagine that it is a loss leader. I don't have any inside information on that. However, I can tell you, having worked for the Columbus Clippers, that was the job in college. I was actually part of the promotions team. I walked by the area that they were making the dogs before the game, and I got to tell you, that is the last Clippers game that I would eat hot dogs at, because those things are being made 4 5 hours before the game is actually started, and you can turn those guys over on their buns, and you're seeing some interesting colors on those dogs. So I don't know that I would necessarily
It's worth
eat.
it.
Yeah, I mean, I love the promotion. I
And
think it
uncooked hot
is.
dogs just baloney.
It's really popular. It is. I mean, they're some of the best crowds that the Clippers get throughout the year are Diamond Dog Nights, and so I think it works really well for them. They may lose a little bit of money on it, but at the same time, it's something they've been
Like,
doing for years.
I thought I remember hearing that they lose so much money, but they got it back somewhere. But like, I didn't think it was just through ticket sales,
It's
but
probably beer sales,
it
if I had to
have.
guess.
That's what I'm thinking, right? Like, oh, I'd like a fountain drink with my dog. I'd like a
Right.
whatever. But like, I did the math. So Google Gemini AI, which is my finest resource at the moment, says they go through 15 to 20,000 dogs a Diamond Dog Night.
That's insane.
And so I just did the math. 15,000 times 0.10 cents is only $1,500. So everyone that bought a hot dog at that game, the tab is $1,500. So, but the other thing about Diamond Dog that I'm
And
really
if you bring it to Coinstar, there's a fee for that, so it's even less. If you come to a bank, it's like 5% to use Coinstar.
yeah. Well, that actually leads into the last thing I was going to say about this is they did ruin something I think about Diamond Dog for me, and that's the cashless payments. Because back in the day, I would roll up with a bag of dimes and use that to pay for my Diamond Dogs. I'd always get the max of 5, and then I usually had buddies in another line, and I would join them and get another 5, and it would just be 10 dimes. But the best part was you could either make a kid's day, or if you're feeling flirtatious, you could just hand them some dimes and be like, "Dog on me, baby," and it didn't work for me, but it might have worked for someone else. But it they took that away once they went to the cashless payment system. So I am a little mad about that, but it's near and dear to our hearts. It's the best. Like I said, other food discount stuff's with it. But I know a lot of them do like happy hours, like $2 off this or $5 beers or whatever. But you just can't beat the Diamond Dog 10-cent hot dog. Like
I do
it's the best.
think that we should mention too that with like hot dogs, I actually think that's where the major leagues do really well with their marketing. Just think about it, like Fenway Frank, Dodger Dog. What are some of the other ones? I think the Cubs have something, but
Chicago
like,
Dog, yeah.
It,
yeah, everyone's like, I got to get a Fenway
Wrigley
Frank when I go
wrap.
to Fenway. So I don't know. I
No,
know
food and baseball go hand in hand. That kind of actually ties into one of the kind of ideas I had later. But like, it's made, and that's the funny thing about Major League Baseball is like every team puts out their new menu this year, and they're starting to get crazier and crazier, which is kind of a promotion in itself. That's a major league promotion because hey, this thing's so crazy, we're going to charge you a bunch, but like you're still going to do it because it's niche. Whereas minor league baseball is like, here's a lukewarm Sugardale Beauty that was cooked at 4 p.m. That's the color of khakis, and you can have 5 of them for a $50.
So point taken though. The Columbus Clippers are killing ballpark romance by not accepting the physical dime for these things anymore.
They have killed multiple relationships
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I mean,
All right. Well, thumbnail, coming back to you then. What's your number 4?
number 4. This one is very new, very recent in the Seattle area. I'm sure you are all familiar with Jimothy, the deformed raccoon.
I
Doesn't have a
have
spine,
heard of him.
but that really gets the crowd going out there. I think they just call it Jimothy Night, and he's taken over Seattle sports. Kind of goes piggybacking off of the Bark in the Park night. I just really love Jimothy, so I had to throw that in there, give him some love.
Can I ask a question about this? I can't say that I'm entirely up to speed on the lore, but my understanding is that Jimothy is from the East Coast, and yet we have Seattle teams taking advantage of this. How does that work?
That's news to me because I thought he was a Seattle raccoon, but maybe he is on the East Coast. From a promotional standpoint, it's not, I guess you would say it's not super creative. It's a layup. It's kind of low hanging fruit, but sometimes you just got to take the wins where you can get them. So,
did we
um,
go over who Jimothy was? for the listeners who don't know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he mentioned it, and I was
Oh, the right.
incorrect
Okay,
as
sorry.
well. He
My
is
fault.
he is from the Seattle area, so that's my bad for sending people in the wrong direction. He is. He is.
No, the East Coast Jimothy's educated. He went to an Ivy League.
There you go. That's a future promotion for
This-
Boston College right after
He
the
does
red
my
bandana.
taxes.
You
the
got red
Seattle,
bandana weekends,
yeah,
and then Jimothy East Coast version at
the
BC.
Seattle Storm use them too in the WNBA. Whenever they hit a three, they go Jimma 3, and it's the Jimothy running across the board with that little scamper that he does. It's awesome.
Thumbnail is big on Jimothy right now. He has all the Jimothy stuff.
Yep.
You can't
Hey,
get
you know
that
what?
off of him.
I'm for it. A little raccoon running across a video board is better than shaking your hands saying 6'7". So I think it's welcome at this point.
That's a fair point. Fair point.
All right, Colonel, can you top Jimothy for your number 4?
Where do yeah. Well, so I have mixed feelings about this one. So my number 4 is also kind of a new one. It's that Just Baseball Night. Now, I put it here just more because of intrigue, because the Just Baseball Night is they have a baseball game and they don't do any promotions or PA announcing, or like it is legit just baseball. Like you're going to a even high school games, I guess, have announcing, like you're going to a little league game. So it almost is kind of the anti, like they're not doing a bunch of crazy promotion stuff. It's just baseball. So I know I first saw it that the Louisville Bats were doing it this year. I don't think they were the first to do it. Once again, my trusty research assistant, Google Gemini, said it was Lake Elsinore Stadium in 2009, I guess, tried this. Have you been there, K-Becks?
I have. I went there
Yeah?
a couple of years ago. I was out in the area. They have one of the coolest hats in minor league baseball. It's the
Now,
eyes.
remind the listeners, because I definitely know, but who plays there again?
The Lake Elsinore Storm.
Storm. Yeah, but from my research, it sounded like they kind of tried it first. I don't know how true that is or whatever, but like I said, it came to me first. I might have been wrong about the 2009. I don't know, but I saw the Louisville Bats tried it, which I thought was kind of interesting because that's a big time, like AAA, whatever. But they kind of tied into like the anti-sensory and was kind of appealing to that a little bit, which I could see for like one game's kind of interesting. But even if like you weren't worried about the sensory overload and stuff, like it could be an interesting thing to witness. But why I have it so kind of low on my list and more is kind of intrigue, because I could 100% see it like kind of sucking.
It really does. You like you said, it kind of is anti Bill Veck's comment that you don't want long still silence, and that's what you're getting in a lot of instances for the game. I know the game has been sped up quite significantly over the past several years, but there's still a lot of points in baseball where there's not a whole lot going on, and not having any of those outside sensory inhibitors or things that help the game, not inhibitors, could be a kind of tough watch, even in person.
See, I think there's ways I'd spice it up. But before I talk about that, the players got to hate it. The players and definitely the managers too, because I bet you they say some. I bet that dugout's just a ruckus of a place, and I bet they don't love that, because I don't know. I don't want to ruin one of yours thumbnail, but because I also saw a promotion of the Silent Night type games, which I know I've seen in basketball. I know that one college does it, and that's awesome because that's in a little gym, and I think it works well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think a Silent Night, because I think the thing I saw is they tried to do it for the first 5 innings because I think they knew realistically you can't do that all game. That'd be horrible. But I don't like the Silent Night game. I just imagine a dude getting either angry or something and just yelling something at the top of his lungs, maybe a curse word, family show, just being the funniest thing. But just to wrap up the Just Baseball Night, that's where I think you could do a sneaky promotion inside your promotion. Yes, you don't have music playing and the PA announcers and lights and fireworks and whatever you do. But I think what I would do is I would hire opera singers and scatter them around the park so that each half inning or inning, he just starts belting out a song.
Okay.
And I think it could get really catchy because the rest of the crowd could either join in or like be like, "Oh my gosh, what's that dude doing?"
I like that.
Maybe only do it once as like a "what the heck"
Mhm.
moment, because then I think after like a couple times you're like, "Oh, they planted this," and that could get a little corny. But I think you get an opera singer or just a really loud singer to just start belting out a song halfway through and just see what happens.
I I think you would need something like that to break up the monotony of silence. And I think it could go both ways, right? On one hand, I think about that and I go, okay, a silent night or just baseball kind of brings you back to the youth levels when you don't have a bunch of fans there and there's not all of the extracurriculars going on. And maybe some of the players appreciate that. But I also think that there could be some level of PTSD going on for any of these guys who might have been at a higher level when COVID was going on. Because
Oh,
think about like when you were playing
I
in
thought that was
stadiums
going another
and
direction.
there's
Sorry.
nobody there and there's not any of the sounds going on because why would you do it if nobody's there? Like that would be a bad reminiscence, I guess, of what just baseball could be. So I could definitely see it going both ways, but I'm not surprised that a ton of different organizations haven't tried it yet.
It's a good enough idea that I think it deserves a little respect, even if I don't think it's
So
a good idea.
I
Like
actually
it's
had that as my
different
number
enough.
3. So it's a good segue. I saw it being called boredom night, which I don't know if you'd want to label it that way because you can spin it into a positive, but it was the same thing, like no electronics going off or PA speaker, things like that. But from my point of view, I think you could do a few like promotion within the promotion that Colin said. I think it'd be really cool if they went old school and you had to bring in the physical ticket to scan in instead of like your phone. So you set the tone there, and then you can almost do like a retro game where maybe you do a Sandlot theme where you feel like you're back in the '80s or
So
something.
I like that idea a lot. Yeah, but yeah,
Don't do it
you
on
don't want to
Diamond
go.
Dog Night because you'll spend $1,500 in paper costs for your tickets.
You don't you don't want
Yeah,
to
it
go
would
back
it would
too
be a
far.
1-day thing, obviously, but, like, it would feel like I don't know, what if they made the, um, the ballpark look like that neighborhood field that they played in for Sandlot and
No, I think that's
whatever,
a really good
but
idea. Yeah,
I also going back to what Colin said about the Diamond Dog Night, I think that would actually it'd be very hit or miss, but if you brought, like, people that are on the dating apps, like, if you brought someone on a Hinge date to, like, boredom night or whatever, it would literally force you guys to talk, get to know each other instead of, like, someone on their phone the entire time. I don't know. You wouldn't have to stay the whole time,
see, I think that would be too
but if you
tough.
think about it,
I think a normal baseball game is better. Yeah, the phone. Yeah, you don't want to be on the phone the whole time, but a normal baseball game gives you stuff to talk about, like stuff that happens between innings and
how's that any
like.
different than, like, let's just say you got drinks at a place?
Well, like so, like my like probably my first date with like my wife was at a Reds game, and like it was helpful to have those. So like I was sweating bullets because the kiss cam came on, which
See,
I'm a
you
kiss.
wouldn't have
I
had to
hate
deal
the
with
kiss cam.
that.
I don't understand what's entertaining about it. But I got a good joke in because it was sponsored by like a Toyota dealership, like truck company. So it was like Toyota Tundra presents, and I'm like a head-on collision with trucks is I guess kind of like a kiss. It was just a bizarre sponsorship for the kiss cam because it was Toyota Tundra trucks. And I was like, if you get kissed by a Toyota Tundra, you're dead.
That's that's a
But
Georgetown, Kentucky influence there from Toyota.
yeah,
Get to know each other real nice.
that's not a great. Hey, want to go on a date to boredom night?
That
Like
name does,
that
yeah.
name's
I agree
horrible.
with you there. That name isn't great.
But I guess you could spin it like, hey, I know it was boredom night, but I wasn't bored. I had a great time
It's
and you
no different
didn't.
than a first date at a restaurant. I mean, you're not getting that.
Look at Kyle started the show with a love letter, and here I am just
Giving dating
giving the
advice.
fellas ideas. This is
I was going to say
this is
there are a lot of romantic related comments going on for this episode. I mean, we have the title for this episode. It is a love letter to minor league baseball. That is what it's going to be called.
throw up the explicit warning, Kyle. Oh, this is. Whew. You're welcome, fellas. All right. Well, I'll jump into my 3 then, since I just kind of stole Gardner's, but he actually kind of started to get into my 3 a little bit, and he might have this one as well, but he said Sandlot. I also think The Office. I think one of the best promotions is when they get the no-name characters that you would never, ever take time out of your schedule to go see, and you get to see them at a game. So I know the Clippers in recent years have had a lot of Office characters. I got to meet Meredith from The Office. I know they've had Kevin. I didn't get to make the Kevin one. That was all. They had Stanley Hudson. I think Sandlot characters are perfect for that. Like guys that I know they're making that show right now or whatever, but not get too much into Sandlot. But
Lindy Peppercorn.
just random obscure characters. Like the Clippers brought in Mr. Feeney. Mr. Feeney's from Saved by the Bell, right?
They brought in Mr. Belding from Saved by the Bell, I
Mr.
believe.
Belding.
Yeah,
Mr.
I was there for some of those because they used to do those.
I was just about to say, Mr. Belding was at the Clippers every year. I feel like sometimes even twice a year. I saw him more than like some of my family members, like distant cousins. Like they always brought him in, but I think a minor league baseball game is the perfect place to have those types of celebrities. Because I'm never gonna like go out of my way, maybe for an Office character to be honest, but some of these other lower level characters, I'm not gonna go out of my way to go meet them. But if I'm at the game and I'm already like, of course I'm gonna stand in a line to meet Meredith Palmer.
Yeah, I think a lot of minor league teams do a really good job of that. Number one, it's cost effective because if you're a bit character on a show that's no longer in circulation, you're probably not commanding the type of appearance fees that some of the big names in media or in Hollywood are commanding at this point. And the other thing is it brings out that nostalgia, which is part of the reason why people are going to these games or for promotions like that. I think another thing that I've seen a lot of, and the Clippers used to do this a lot as well, is they would bring out former wrestling stars and they would typically feature them in the hot dog race. And I remember taking a forearm shiver from, I don't even remember who it was. I'm not a huge wrestling guy, but I took a forearm shiver
Randy
from
Orton.
him and it hurt, first off, because like it was like a brick.
What, it wasn't fake?
It was not fake. It was, I mean, he put his arm out there and I ran into it. He probably wasn't expecting me to do that.
Still real to me.
It felt real to me. When I went down, that hurt. But they do a very good job of that. I think that's a great one because that is something that most of these teams can find somebody to bring out for a night, and they can bring them back if the other thing is some of these people enjoy it. So they'll be like, yeah, bring me back,
It feels good. Like I bet they love it, and like seeing fans that enjoyed their show and making a little dough, probably it's the perfect thing for them. But it's funny you bring up the WWE because I just saw the Clippers. I think they originally had a WWE night in the spring this season. I think it got rained out, and so they rescheduled it for the fall, a new one. And I was clicking around it because they're giving away a jersey with the WWE belt printed on it, a Clippers jersey with the WWE, and I thought it was awesome. But right now it says featuring a WWE superstar. They haven't named who it is yet. So I'm very curious to see. They're promising one, but I think they clearly don't have one at the moment. And that schedule for WWE is like nuts. So it's not like something they can just call someone up. So I'm very curious to see who they get. But I thought that was funny because they clearly didn't have one yet, but said someone WWE will be there. But last thing I just want to say about this, and this is not an obscure or small figure, but did you guys see who's going to be at the Clippers game here in like a week or so?
Nope.
Some consider him the greatest, maybe American of all time, greatest athlete of all time.
Joey Chestnut. That is nice.
Wow.
And I'm legit thinking about going to the Clippers game that night just to go see him because when else are you going to get to see Joey Chestnut? So
is it a
I
Tuesday?
might have him sign. Like I don't think it is. That would have been too good, right?
Yeah.
That would have been too good. You can't bring Joey Chestnut to Dime a Dog. We already talked about they lose money on that.
What if he
Holy
signs a hot
smokes, but
dog?
I don't know. Like I want to have him sign something, but I don't like a. Do I just buy a
Vacuum
pack?
seal it.
That's what I was thinking. But what's the best way to preserve it? Do I get like a hot dog bun like
Yeah, you got to think
wrapper,
about that
or
one for a
like
second.
do I get a pack of dogs and have
Mhm.
him sign it? Like Nathan's? I get a pack of Nathan's dog, but do they let me bring that in?
Mhm. What about a spoon?
I don't know. I gotta find something for him to sign, and I just
What about they have the shirts. They have the shirts with the various hot dog mascots on there. You could do that one.
I like that. I saw the National Bobblehead Museum made a bobblehead of them with a hot dog counter at the bottom, but it was pre-order and they weren't shipping till August. I didn't think I'd get it in time, so I looked at that. But I don't know. I'll have to think about that. Maybe get some Schweebel's buns and have them sign the outside of it. But
What's his record? You could get like a picture of like 72 or
a
whatever it
picture,
is.
yeah,
signed
picture would probably
72.
make the most sense. But I don't know. That one really excites me. But yeah, so any like
Mhm.
obscure celebrity appearances, I think minor league baseball does a great job at that because it fits.
Yep. I agree with that. Going into my second, number 2, we've done a lot of animal themes here, and I think Colin knows where this is going.
This is exactly
Really
my
geared
number.
toward.
This is my number 2. We have the
Is
same
it?
number. I can already tell right now. We have the same number 2.
All right, then let's go back and forth on naming superstars characters. How many do you know?
Oh my gosh.
I'm
Okay,
putting you
I
on
think
the
I can.
spot. I'll go first.
Okay. Oh, thanks.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh, you're looking at a list.
Well, yeah, I Googled it beforehand.
How are you going to challenge me to a back
Yeah,
and
you
forth?
can't do that.
You wrote a list down.
There were a couple that I looked up.
Well, maybe what are your favorites?
All right, well,
what are your favorites?
Now people are going to think I bought time, but I saw them at least.
What are my favorite characters?
Okay, do you want to go back and forth? I'll go back and forth.
Okay, Shaquille O'Neal.
Okay. Harry Canary.
Cal Ripken.
Mackerel Jordan.
Good. Bear Bonds.
There's Bobby Orangutan.
He's on my list. Alex Frog Rodriguez.
Have we said Ken Giraffe Jr.?
No.
That's a good one.
Oh.
Barack Obama. Like Barack Obama. Barack Obama.
I don't want to say he wasn't an athlete.
He is
I know
one.
he was
I'm
good at
looking up the
basketball,
list right now, and he's right.
Why is he? But aren't they all? I guess Harry Carey isn't technically. Okay, so I guess
He's
that's fine.
baseball adjacent.
Roger Clemens.
I don't know. Is Lucille James one? Kyle?
I don't see Lucille James.
Did you say Dennis Frogman?
No. Is Dennis Frogman
Dennis
one?
Frogman.
They already have a frog
Yes.
with Alex.
I remember Dennis Frogman.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh. What's the Sammy Sosa one? That's another one that eats people. Clammy Sosa.
There you go.
But
by the way, thumbnail, you were on to something with LeBron, but it was not what you had mentioned. The LeBron is LeBronco.
LeBronco.
That's right.
I had that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kyle, what are some ones we haven't named? Give us the athlete and see if we can come up with.
Okay. Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow. I know that one.
Yeah.
Good job.
This is sad.
Yao Ming.
Yeah. Oh.
This one is kind of interesting.
I remember this character, but I couldn't.
Is it? It should be Yao, like an owl. Is it not?
It is not, but I like that. Actually, I
Yao
like that better.
Ming?
I like that better than the real one, which is Yao Flamingo.
Oh,
I'm the Jack Hanna of superstars. Yao Flamingo.
Long neck. I mean,
Yao Ming is way better.
How about this one? I kind of like this one. It reminds me of SpongeBob. Sidney Crosby.
Oh, boo. I'm not mad. I don't know this one.
Thumbnail, you want a shot at that one?
Sidney
Sidney Crosby.
No, actually, it has a hockey influence. Squidney Crosby.
That's a stretch.
Lame. Sidney Crosby is. Am I better at making superstars than the superstars?
You're pretty good. I like a lot of the ones that you've brought up so far. I do.
Yao Ming. I need to make Yao.
The only
Ming.
thing about that though is you got to make the character look like physically look like the athlete.
Tall Al.
An Al is like thick and like dense but short.
Yeah, I guess Flamingo makes more sense there. So I guess I can't hate on him too much, but
looking at this list, I'm surprised at the number of NASCAR drivers that made the cut as superstars.
Jeff Gordon was one of them, isn't he?
Really?
Kyle.
Yes.
Jeff Gordon.
Wait, Jeff Gordon is. I feel like I've actually seen Jeff Gordon before. The superstar, not the NASCAR driver. Jeff Gordon.
This one's not super creative.
Jeff Gordon. I don't got it. I don't got
Jeff Gordo.
Jeff Gordog.
Or what?
Jeff Gordog.
Jeff Gordog. Yes.
Oh, come on.
You've got
Supers.
Rusty Walrus.
That's good.
Which is pretty good.
That is good.
And then Snail Earnhardt Jr.
Are they trying to say he's slow?
Oh, it's ironic.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. Did
that get retired?
Some level of tongue in cheek with a lot of these, which I'll give them credit for. But yeah, I'm just surprised that they had so many NASCAR guys on here. This is a very.
I bet NASCAR races are a hotbed for them. To be honest, like that would make sense. I think all day, like, but I don't know.
It's a coveted list, though. We're talking about all
seen 'em
sports, and three of the superstars are NASCAR drivers.
I haven't seen him in a while. That's on me. I gotta go see him again. Oh my god,
that's a good one.
Was Pump Up the Jam their main
superstars
like little song? It's like pump up the jam, pump it up. They would like bounce around and eat people.
Oh, the best is when they ate the umpires.
Yeah, yep. And they look like
And some of those umpires, that's a hefty meal. I always wondered how, like, that had to have been so hot in that costume with that big old umpire and the person working Roger Clemens.
True.
So that was the number 2 for both of you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh yeah, it should have been 1, but I'm wondering if we have the same number 1. But it's the superstars are the best. I'm kind of shocked that they don't like. I feel like they have staying power. Like puns are always going to be funny, and like you can keep doing new athletes.
Yeah, that's a good point. And do you retire superstars? Like, do you go through a phase of being at the peak of your sport so that you can be nominated for a superstar character, and then your superstar gets to have its own career, and then eventually it has to phase out because
I feel like once the real life person dies, you can't roll out their superstar anymore. You just
like Dale Earnhardt. There's no way.
In a storage unit. Well, that's Junior.
Oh, it's Junior. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, like Yao Ming, like realistically, how many young kids these days know Yao Ming?
But that's what I'm saying. Like there needs to be an Ohtani one. I guess Mike Trout already kind of is a superstar, I guess. But like there needs to be the new age of athletes. I might get cooking on that. I might make my own superstars with this new age of athletes.
There are a few now past athletes who still have superstars.
I mean, yeah, I guess Harry Carey's dead.
Harry Carey, Centipede Rose.
Bobby Orr's dead, right? Oh, I forgot. How am I sitting here as a Reds fan? I forgot about Centipede Rose.
Monkey Mantle.
Turn in my superstars and my Reds card. Monkey Mantle?
Yeah.
See, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is Tommy Lasorda still alive?
Monkey Mantles. Tommy Lasorda. No, yeah, Tommy Lasorda died. Actually, I don't think he died too long ago. Like a couple years.
Yeah.
That dude was always old.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, well, I'm excited now for the number 1s. Hopefully you guys don't have the same, but If you do, great minds think alike, I
Go
suppose.
ahead,
Well,
Tom.
yeah, I mean, you guys are really putting a lot of pressure on this, and talking it up,
Well, no, I
but
hope it's not the same, but
it's not the same because you
and
already
I
said
think
my number
superstars
one.
are our personal number ones.
Yes. I mean, I obviously think that just the Diamond Dog simple, um, Diamond Dog night, getting people in was my number one. It's kind of a boring pick, but I will parlay that with this is an everyday thing that they do this in the majors as well. But the like the hot dog races, that never gets old either. Like we have to have this episode and talk about that for a minute too, because the hot dog race is so iconic. Everybody roots for ketchup, I feel like, but some people like relish. They're weird. Um,
My only diss about this is I associate this with the big leagues.
yeah, that's true,
Like
and
I
I
think
think
the one is the
Mhm.
not Memphis, Milwaukee sausage race is the go, and then you had like the Nationals presidents, and then
Mhm.
Pittsburgh does the pierogies, and everyone
Yep,
started
yep.
like promotions is a copycat league, but that's my own. It is great. You're not wrong.
Then I
It's
think the majors
phenomenal.
have the like marketing down for hot dogs. Do they dominate the minor leagues with hot dogs then? Because that's such a staple for baseball. Maybe we're not giving the majors enough credit for
I feel
some
like
of
that
that
is the majors and
promotion.
minors difference. Is minors, yeah, it's just going to stick to hot dogs. In major league, you got
Mhm.
to step it up.
Well, here's the story about that I think is interesting is that some of those variations of the hot dogs are really expensive. I was told, and I have no way of being able to verify this at the moment. Maybe somebody can fact check me on this, one of the listeners, that the reason that the racing presidents for the Nationals don't ever do crazy things like some of the hot dog races do is because the heads themselves are so heavy and expensive that they can't afford to have anybody fall and break them. Somebody told me it was like $10,000 a head. And so they don't want to do anything but do just a straight race with the presidents because the mascot heads themselves are so expensive.
They didn't do Taft because his was 20,000.
That's a little surprising to me, but the
That's a
type of
good one.
money they're throwing around in
I
baseball
like
these
that.
days, why would they care about $10,000? That's like pocket change to them.
I think it's because that's a tough sell. We had to spend another $10,000 on a giant president head.
You're also not going to get much for a marketing budget when it comes to these types of things either. They're going to look at you and they're going to say, well, if you're the best, you're up here. Why do we have our guys in AAA being more creative than you
Yeah.
are?
I will say I hate the races that are electronic, like the cartoon version of it. That's like this is predetermined. Give me a
Yeah,
real race.
the Reds will. Well, the ones on the field are predetermined too.
I like to pretend they're not.
They are. I can tell you from experience, having run a number of these races, we used to pre-plan those things
Yeah,
in the.
I mean, Kyle took a forearm shiver from Bam Bam Bigelow. Like
Wait, Kyle, you ran in the races? Has
Oh
this ever
yeah,
been
that was
disclosed
the.
to your
that's what he
listeners?
said
You
earlier.
said that earlier?
He took a forearm shiver from a WWE legend he can't remember
Yeah.
right now, like in
CTE.
the race. So he doesn't think wrestling's fit. Dude, you could have sued probably.
No, I think that's the waiver that I signed when I first started there is you can't do
You
any
got
suing of
it.
this. You know what you're getting into.
Did you join the
You
mascots
may get
union?
clotheslined by JBL.
No, however, the professional mascots, the ones that do Crash and Lucille, they were very serious about their craft.
Much unionized?
That's a good question. I don't remember if they were
They
unionized, but
do
I
take
know
that craft serious.
they do take the
I
craft
used
seriously.
to know a Stinger.
Okay. So Stinger, I know that they would attend conventions, and the guy that was Lucille at the time that I worked at the Clippers ended up getting a job down in El Paso with the Chihuahuas, and he worked there as a mascot as well. So this was not a one-time thing for him. He was actually jumping to bigger and better mascot opportunities in the minor leagues.
Mascot. I can't stop thinking about a mascot convention now. Those get wild. I bet. It's like
One day we're going to see them.
I don't think
Like the
this would.
bars better stock up. It's gonna be like when Scotland was at the World Cup when the mascots roll into town.
Yeah.
you, you think the Philly fanatic is gonna drink you dry a Bush Light? Think again.
Yeah. What happens at mascot conventions stays at mascot conventions.
I want to get to one of them.
Well, Colonel, do you have a number one that's different than that, or
Well, speaking of Bush Light, my number one promotion is the free beer until the opposing team scores. So I think this came across my desk. I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago, maybe. I think it was the Tennessee Smokies. Um, I think I think they were the first time I heard about it, and then when I did research, I promised we were going to come back to it. The Florida Fire Frogs, I think, were the first team that I could find that did this promotion.
No.
Yes, in 2018.
That's why it was
I
so
have
full
the
in the
Ballpark
stands.
Digest article. But no,
No
we went on
way.
tequila Thursday. We didn't go on free beer night.
Hmm.
So that bartender loved
Remember that
us.
little bartender we had behind third base?
Yeah, he gave us a lot of tequila. It was the packed stadium it was. But yeah, the free beer until the opposing team scores. So obviously I had to read into it because I had to know the logistics and how you could, I don't want to say get away with it, but like there's got to be some stipulations. But from my understanding is it's basically there's like a small 12-ounce disposable cup. So obviously you keep the beer like total, and like I think you could get a limit of two. It's like maybe two 12-ounce small cups. And then I just imagine the line is so long that you can't just like sit there and drink all you want. I'd imagine. But the part of this promotion that I love is that it stops once the opposing team scores. I think that is a brilliant way to get fans invested in a minor league baseball game because you don't know if the free beer is going to stop. It could stop the first pitch if a guy smacks one out, or they could shut the team out and it's free beer all game, which they'd probably actually have to shut. How's that work?
They'd have to shut that down in like the fifth inning.
Well, usually you can get to the
I
inning
mean,
like
we saw
seven,
what
I
happened.
thought, but it's also this is the Florida Fire Frogs we're talking about. There are no
Yeah.
laws, but
I mean, we saw what happened in Cleveland with what was it, the Diamond Beer night back in the
yeah,
70s?
yeah, but I
That
just
can get out of hand real quick.
100%. But that's not the okay. It is the team's problem, but it does get people invested. Imagine bases loaded. You haven't given up a run yet, one out, and the crowd's just getting into it. The guy grounds it to short, like turn it, turn it, turn it, turn it, turn it. He turns it. The crowd goes nuts and gets back in the free beer line.
yeah, it's a tried and
It's
true approach that other sports have taken and used quite successfully as well. I know the Corn Ferry Tour event in Columbus has a promotion on, I think it's the 13th hole, where if a golfer birdies for 13 minutes, beer is $1. And same thing, like they've got the big pavilion overlooking the 13th hole, and as soon as there's a chance for a guy to potentially birdie, everybody starts getting a little bit rowdy over there. They will start booing the golfers if they miss easy putts. They'll obviously cheer if they make it, and then it's a rush to go over there and get your dollar beer. So I do think that that's a really good promotion that, to the point of what we were talking about earlier, how do you get people in the stands with lost leaders? This is a good example because, yeah, sometimes the team might get unlucky for a few innings if nothing happens. Other times it's going to be two pitches and everybody's still there and they're still going to go get their beers. So it kind of like evens itself out after a
I
while.
got to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a gamble. Yeah, if you do free beer night and leadoff guy smacks a home run, then people are salivating for their natural light that they're going to go and then buy it. So what would they, I guess just sell it. But I guess it also gets people in early, not just butts in seats, but like I think people will be like, oh, I want to get in an hour before the game starts because I'm going to start taking advantage of this just in case the leadoff guy hits a home run. And obviously, kind of like what we talked about with Diamond Dog earlier, like people are going to buy other stuff then. people might get something from the team shop, or oh, a pretzel would go great with this natty light. It's just, I think it's a genius promotion where it's a gamble, because we already talked about how you could lose money on Diamond Dog. You could make a killing off of this promotion.
Yeah.
If you are the guy in line that orders a pretzel while the free beer is still flowing, you are.
But I think what I read, I think it was
I
separate.
was gonna say, if that's the same line, you
So
should be
it's
booed.
it's just a tent with
Yeah.
like, I'd imagine, I think kegs, and they just were just like pouring, and that's why I think the line would be so long that like you would probably get your two, get back in line, drink. Like I think it's a genius creative promotion, and like there's so many factors
I'm
to
assuming
it that
it
I just think
starts
it makes
at
it
first
so
pitch
good.
too, right? Like it's not gonna start an hour before the.
I'd imagine it's when gate. No, I bet it's when gates open, right?
No,
Probably a
because then
certain
people can
amount of
get
time.
you could get tanked
But
in
you
an
can't
hour.
advertise a free beer night, and then the guy hits a leadoff home run, and then that's, you
Yeah,
can't
it's
do
I think, but
probably an
that.
that's
hour
like the
before.
you could get pretty tanked in an hour.
But I think the line would be ridiculous. And once again, these are 12-ounce. Like I said, they might even limit it to one. I don't know. I can't remember if it was one or two, but like you aren't like just putting them back right away. You have to wait a decent amount.
Yeah.
Like I bet people who pay for them could get, like, you get a tall boy, they could pound that and then just buy another. Like, I know it's not free, so you have more people doing it, but
Yeah.
and once again, this isn't happening. Like that's the disaster with the Cleveland one, is that like that's a major league ballpark with 40,000 people that are like Clevelanders that are going to take that. Like you can do this at a Fire Frogs game that usually gets 87
Yeah.
people through the gates.
They had us spending in that
and
gift shop.
now you get, oh my gosh, we got 2,000 tonight.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's actually interesting that you bring that up, because a lot of this comes down to the promotions are dictated by the sales team, an extension of the sales team, and they're obviously graded on how many butts they get in seats. And something, now that we've kind of wrapped up this list, and I think it was a really good one, hopefully the listeners enjoyed that, there's actually a formal award show or system that minor league baseball has to applaud the best promotions that happen throughout the year. It's called the Golden Bobblehead Awards, and they do it for best promotion or event. They do one for best non-game day or community event, and then they do one for best game day event as well. And one of the promotions that won in the past was a team, I believe it was the Reno Aces, put together a package where you could buy a season ticket for $99, and it would be 75 home games for $99. And same thing, like you're paying technically $1 per ticket, but they know people are not going to go to every one of those games. What they also know is when they do go to the games, they're paying for parking, they're paying for concessions, they're paying for maybe some other people that don't have that ticket to come in. So in the end, a lot of these things are really dictated by sales oriented minds that are like, how can we get as many people in here as possible, maybe take a loss on some things, but in other ways we're actually making a killing. But before we go on to the next topic that we'll hit on for a little bit in this show, I do want to talk about the monetary side of things, because one of the reasons that I went to so many minor league games growing up and still like to go to them today is your cost of attendance. Something that I pulled from our trusty AI Google search right before the show was the cost of attending a minor league baseball game for a family of four compared to the cost of attending a major league baseball game for a family of four. And the difference is massive. In 2026, the average cost to take a family of four to a minor league baseball game is about $65. And comparatively, the league average in Major League Baseball to do the same thing, which includes a parking pass, 2 drinks for the adults, 2 drinks for the kids, and 4 hot dogs, is around $225 for a single game. So the cost is roughly 25% to go to a minor league baseball game. And when you think about, depending on what type of family dynamic you have, if you've got young kids, do you really want to spend $225 for an event where you may only be there for 5 or 6 innings in the first place? So I want to get your thoughts on that, because that was one of the reasons that we went to so many games growing up as a family, is that there were six people. And there wasn't really an opportunity to go, even 20 years ago, to a baseball game when you had to pay for six people. And in the end, you were spending hundreds of dollars just to go to an event that you could do for a fraction of the cost. And for kids, you're pretty much getting the same experience.
Shout out K-Beck's brother, K-Beck's.
K-Becks and K-Becks. That's right. I still need to have him on the show to confuse everybody.
Yeah. But I think the biggest thing's age. If if your kids aren't into sports or Major League Baseball, and so, like, they don't really know the difference. They want to go see the mascot, and that's like, not to totally change subject, but that's why teams like Ohio State need the Ball State game, need the Akron game, where like you can take your kids to, and they're more interested in the OHIO and the cheerleaders and Brutus rather than Jeremiah Smith having 207 yards. Like, it's, and so, like I said, it's not the exact same thing, but I think that's a good comparison of, like, if your kids don't, and then when your kids get older, like, yeah, they probably want to go see better baseball if they're a baseball fan, Major League Baseball. They want to go see Shohei Ohtani or Aaron Judge if they're in town. But yeah, you're paying a premium for it. So yeah, I think the family dynamic thing definitely matters, and that's the great appeal about baseball. Another thing, the last thing I'll say is just I think the number of games is what helps the best. Like, I think, as the thumbnail tried to say earlier with the UFL and stuff, I think the biggest problem was there was 5 home games, so they couldn't really afford to have dirt cheap tickets, even though you probably should to get butts in seats. But they only had 5 home games, so they like needed the revenue. Whereas the Clippers have 60 games, maybe not that many. I forget. Minor league season's always a little shorter, isn't it? So I don't know how many technically home
Yeah, it
games they
depends on the
have.
league.
But
I think International League probably does have pretty close to what you would see from the major league level, but I'm not sure how many games they get.
yeah, I think it's a little shorter. But I think that obviously helps with baseball. That's why baseball contracts and all that stuff are out of control, is because they can afford to have $5 tickets to a game because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, those are great points. And one more that I think is worthwhile to bring up is that you're building equity when you talk about the young kids, the young fans. You're building equity in their interest in the game, because if you go to these games and it's low stakes from a monetary perspective, so they get to go to a number of them and they enjoy them, to your point, Colonel, they may grow up and they want to go see these games at the major league level. And if you have that basis that you've built going to these cheaper games as a kid, then when you have the ability, the financial means to do so, then maybe you're going to try and go to the major league games at some point in the future. You know, for me, I went to a lot of minor league games as a kid, not a lot of major league games, but now one of the things that's on a bucket list for me is to go to every major league stadium. And I don't think that that would have been something I would have been interested in had I not already attended and been to so many different stadiums when I was a kid. And it really didn't matter at the time that they were just stadiums in the middle of some mid-market town that people wouldn't typically go and visit.
yeah, and that kind of, like, the other last two things here is, I know I'm rambling. I'll let the thumbnail speak in a second, but um, I think minor league baseball does a really good job of being in towns that like could use them. Like, obviously the lower levels are in kind of some like podunk towns that are out there, but then the AAA are in big cities that don't have Major League Baseball. Obviously, another thing the UFL stinks at. Um, they've tried to get better at, but still didn't work. Look at the Texas teams. Anywho, I think they do a really good job of that, being like the only show in town, or a city like Columbus where summer's kind of a dead period because of soccer's changing their schedule with the Crew, and then the Jackets are obviously in the winter. OSU football in the fall. Like, I think they do a really good job of like where the team is. And then the last thing is, like, yeah, it's like the things you remember. A lot of these promotions are like new stuff, but I think minor league baseball does a good job of doing like traditions and stuff, of like, oh, they did this back when I was like, Diamond Dog is obviously a huge tradition with the Clippers. Like, there was a thing with the Clippers where when I was younger, I got to do like an on-field promo where you went and like raked the field and were like part of the grounds crew. So like I ran out to the third base line, like I was right there next to like Clippers third baseman Martin McCarthy, and I was just raking the infield dirt, and like And then we went to a Clippers game like a couple weeks ago, and they still do
The
that
Scott's
same
kid of the
exact
game. I
thing. And I was
remember
like,
that. Yeah.
I wish I remembered who the company was that sponsored it back in the day, but like they still did that. I was like, I did that one at Cooper Stadium when I was a young lad. So like that part of it's kind of cool. So I think minor league baseball does a good job of that, of like bringing you
Yeah.
back. But
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
you got anything, Thumb?
No, I was just curious. So we actually went to the Red Sox game a couple weeks ago, and maybe the prices were a little inflated because it was actually during that big win streak that they just had, and we saw them win that 15th game in a row. But we spent so much money so quickly at Fenway. We Before we even got into the stadium, we spent $60 on parking in a crowded garage, which it's downtown Boston, that's to be expected. Two tickets, it was $140 overall, so $70 a ticket. So right there, you're already at $200. And then we wanted to get a beer before we got in our seats, and it was $20 a beer for two high noons. So that was like $45. Then later we went and got a Fenway Frank. We got three Fenway Franks and a popcorn, and that was like another 30. So by the time we left the stadium, it was like $350 for a middle of the season baseball game. And it's like, man, that was like crazy expensive. Like that's what you would expect for like NFL's pricing, or maybe like a Buckeye game. That's only happens 6 times a year. And then literally today in the mail, I got a promotion from the Brockton Rocks. It's a suburb in the greater Boston area. It said, bring this coupon to the ticket office and you get 4 free tickets. So I could go to, I think it's double A for the Brockton Rocks. Get in there, 4 tickets. I don't have kids, but me, my fiance, and us two could go for free. Get a couple beers, maybe hit a promotion night where it's $1 a dog, and we spend $20 versus 300. But like you said, if you're into the game, things like that, you're going to get a better experience at Fenway. But from a money standpoint, I do think it's really getting out of control with like how expensive sporting events in general are, not just baseball, but that could be a whole nother podcast. But
Well, it's not going to be a whole nother podcast. We'll touch on it for a minute here because we cannot have this episode without talking about the trade of the deadline, Tarek Skubal to the Dodgers. And I know, Thumbnail, we were talking offline about this. Kernel, I'm sure you have thoughts about it as well. If there is anyone to blame for this, who do you think it lies with? Is it the Dodgers? Do we really treat the Dodgers as the evil empire, or is this more of a baseball issue? I have my thoughts. I'm curious, and I'm sure the listeners are as well, what you guys think.
I'll go first on this one.
Go
So
ahead, Thumb.
I don't think the teams are to blame at all in this situation. I'm not going to blame Dodgers for using their resources because, I mean, just that's real life. Someone has the money, they're going to spend it for what you can get. This isn't a Disney movie, it's real life. And then if you look at a team like the Pirates, Guardians, Reds, whoever, they're not going to spend money that they don't have and cripple themselves if they have one bad contract and they're in financial ruin for a decade. So I think from both sides, you can't really blame a team. So I think it really is going to come down to like the commissioner's office for the MLB to come up with a good solution. I do know, obviously what comes to mind is a salary cap. And I think there are drawbacks with that as well. But we'll see what they come up with. But, you know, if you think about it, it's different with college sports in a degree, but like we root for the Ohio State Buckeyes and we get the 5-star recruit every year at every position. And then you look at a smaller Big Ten school like Rutgers, they don't have the resources to get the 5-star recruit. And like, should the commissioner office for the Big Ten step in and say, hey, that's not fair? Or is that just how it is? And that's just kind of how it is with, college sports. So in my mind, it's really not that different when it comes to the MLB. I'm sure they'll come up with something, but I don't really like it when people blame the team for just using the resources that they have or not, or spending outside of their means. But that's kind of my view on it. Um, so I wouldn't really assign blame to anybody. I just think that they need to maybe come up with a way to level out the parity, maybe. But I'm still going to watch the World Series, and I think baseball is in a great place right now.
Kernel?
I can never find the right words for this argument. You can't blame the Dodgers for being able to do it and doing it, but I don't think the Dodgers should be blameless for actually doing it. Like I just don't know like how to say that, because yes, I agree that, well, like, you can't blame the Dodgers because they're not doing anything like wrong or illegal or whatever, but like I can still blame the Dodgers because it feels like they are ruining the baseball because they're so good. Like I said, that sounds whiny and like loser, but like it sucks. Like, just to know that, yeah, they're gonna win the NL. Now, hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully one of these other teams can beat them, and I guess that part makes it a little exciting. But it it like I said, yeah, you can't blame the Dodgers, but I can be mad at them and be annoyed by them, like 100%. It is annoying because if you look at their lineup, like they do, like, everyone's like, well, they do a good job. Like, look at their lineup. They all come from other teams. There's a couple guys, a handful at the bottom of the lineup that they had and stuff, and obviously a guy like Kershaw, and like that's great. But like, I just get like it's annoying. I think baseball's to
I mean, the
blame.
Yankees did that too, like back in the day too. So
Eh,
it's not like just the Dodgers.
Correct, correct. But it's just, I think just because the amount of money's gone up, like the contract thing with Shohei Ohtani is insane. It's just insane if you like look into it. I don't know all the specifics, obviously, but like I remember looking into it once about how much he makes per second and all that stuff, and it's just unbelievable. And so like that part of it has always just kind of bothered. And I hate when people say like, well, the dot like people were going, anybody could have traded for Scooble, talking about like the package or whatever, but he's gonna sign with the dot. Like, no team's going to trade him for a 3 month rental and then lose him at the end of the season and give up three of your best prospects. Like, the Reds aren't trading for him, obviously. Yeah, could a team like the Brewers maybe afford to try that 3 month rental? Sure, but once again, a team like that is risky, and he is kind of injury prone a little bit. But that is a risk to take. Like, the Dodgers can, one, afford to take that risk, and two, they're gonna be able to sign him too. So I can't, I know I can't blame the Dodgers, but it's just so annoying. I'm all in favor of a salary cap. I think when people say like, oh, there's constant, I feel like the cons to a salary cap is that the multi hundreds of million of dollar millionaires don't get hundreds of million. So I know this is probably going to be a lockout next year, and I think the part that annoys me the most is that billionaires are going to be arguing with multimillionaires, and that's the part that is going to be annoying. And I really don't feel, it's tough for me to feel sad for anybody when I got to think kind of selfishly. Like, the sad part is I've never seen the Reds win a playoff series in my life, and I'm 31 years old. That's the sad part. Like, I don't care about how much these athletes make. I don't care about the billionaire owners. They're already rich. Like the thing I care about is I've never seen my team win a playoff series. And if a salary cap is going to fix that, then awesome.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there, Colonel. Well, both of you. I think both
This
points.
Kernel just popped.
Yeah, there you go. That was a Colonel Pop moment right there. Right there. Put him in the microwave.
He's burnt, baby.
The thing that struck me about what you said, Colonel, related to teams that could take the risk but won't. For me, and I was actively thinking about, well, what's the solution? Because to me, if there's any blame, it's on Major League Baseball, because they've allowed this to get out of hand for as long as they have, and we are barreling towards a work stoppage that is going to kill a lot of momentum that baseball has gained over the last several years. It's been a good product. I think, Thumbnail, you said it at the beginning. It's been going in the right direction in a way that we haven't seen it for a lot of our lifetime. Where I think you can maybe combine two factors that were brought up during those two responses is if you find a way to simultaneously allow teams to take a risk without putting their 10-year future at severe risk if they don't make it work, coupled with allowing as many teams as possible to go after a guy like that because they have to, I think that's how you could potentially solve it. And so whereas a lot of people talk about a salary cap, I have also heard arguments for a salary floor. And if you have a salary floor and you say, hey, we're not only going to make you do certain things, but you're then going to be more likely or more willing to take these risks because it's not going to put you in a position where you might not be good again for the next 10 years. I think back to like the Mariners, I think when they got, what was it? Uh, Second baseman they paid a ton of money for,
Robinson Cano.
Robinson Cano. And they put themselves in a really tough spot after they did that and didn't really work out. I think that you have to look at those types of situations and you have to look at teams who maybe aren't spending even what they're capable of spending, even though it might not be what the Yankees are. They're just not spending. Like the Pirates don't spend, the Guardians don't spend, the Rockies don't spend. And if you make these teams spend to some extent, you're going to see a lot more of this activity goes on where some of the wealth in terms of talent goes to other teams. And so even when there aren't necessarily opportunities for all of these teams to go and win the World Series that year, there's still going to be a number of transactions going on to different clubs where it feels like it's more than just the Dodgers and a couple of teams. Like, yes, I know that the Brewers are playing well this year and the Rays are playing well this year, but if you're not one of those two teams, the Dodgers or maybe the Yankees/Red Sox, you're kind of already starting to look at the football season if you're in a city that has both those teams. And that's what they're kind of up against. And I think where they were starting to make some strides, but they're going to lose all of that momentum if they go into a lockout and it doesn't look like there's any closure or any constriction of that gap that exists right now.
I do think you could play devil's advocate with like just thinking about a salary cap. Like I think it could be a little naive to think that that would just fix everything too, because there's a lot of problems in the NBA right now with their salary cap. Like, for example, like the Kawhi Leonard situation. I don't know if you guys have followed it, but that's like one of the more crazier stories in sports, in my opinion. It's really not being talked about a whole lot right now, but the bottom line is he got a max contract for that salary cap. And, the way that the Clippers recruited him into LA, like come to LA, was funneling money to him through like this fake tree planting company where Steve Ballmer, the owner of the Clippers, created this company, put Kawhi Leonard is like the owner of the company, and then basically paid Kawhi Leonard $20 million a year through this fake company. And it was a way to say, hey, come to LA, you can make more money here through your contract plus this side company thing. And that's like totally against the rules for the NBA contract. And it's being investigated by the league. And I'm not saying that that would happen in the MLB, but like certain things arise when you put salary caps and salary floors. And like maybe it would be better for the MLB, but I think the NBA is having trouble with their salary cap right now.
For sure. But one of the things that baseball tends to have a lot of that the NBA doesn't is these short-term rentals that you talk about. So as opposed to in the NBA, you're not necessarily buying a guy for 3 months to make a push. In the MLB, that does happen sometimes. And there are instances, I think, where if you had something to try to level the playing field, you might have teams take a risk because either they have to or because other teams can't. And then it opens up the possibilities. I think at the end of the day, if we rewind the clock a little bit and we think back to the teams that were really in the sweepstakes for Tarek Skubal, it was always going to be the teams that everybody knew about. And if you have a different scenario in terms of what teams might have to spend or can spend without significant penalties, I just wonder whether or not that would open up the possibilities of what can happen when we get to trade deadline. And it might be better for the league that way.
I mean, we saw the Brewers do it with CC Sabathia, like about almost 2 decades now. They did the whole rental thing. I think they went to the NLCS and he performed pretty well there. They didn't win the World Series, but they kind of took that chance. And, like Colin said, he eventually went to the Yankees the following year, but it was kind of fun to see them take that swing and
Do
then,
they got him from Cleveland, right?
yeah.
Who,
Yeah.
do you remember who they got in return?
I think it was
Laporta, wasn't it?
yeah, Matt Laporta. It actually didn't work out for them. They
Yeah.
might have got Michael Brantley too, which he ended up being
That's
a
what I was
great
curious
player.
about, because I wonder if that set the Brewers. I can't remember the Brewers timeline right now,
Well, they
but
had Prince
I mean,
Fielder after
get
that, and then
right,
Ryan.
Braun. That was
Yeah.
all after. I'm getting whatever,
I
but
mean, that was
can
in
I
eighth
can
grade.
I can I connect two things real quick, separate things we talked about in this podcast? One thing that kind of annoys me is I've always been kind of like growing up and everything, like on the kind of side of the athletes of that. I think they do deserve to make like a crap load of money because they're the best at what they do and how much entertainment and stuff that they provide. But I do think it's getting out of control with baseball. And one thing I'll say is that I don't want to come off as like pro owner because I know a lot of those guys are scumbags, but they're good businessmen. Like there's a reason I think that they are in a position to own a major league baseball team. And the thing about good businessmen is that like they want to make money. So yes, a salary floor I do think is great. A salary cap is great. But another thing that I can't help but think about, and I could be totally off here, I don't know, is these contracts keep going up and up and up. And we have already talked about how expensive it is to go to a major league baseball game. And I can't help but like think if these player contracts keep going up and up and up, yes, the billionaire owners should be able to afford it, because that's what I always see people like whine about is, oh, like your owner is cheap, your owner, blah, blah, blah. But also, it is a business at the end of the day. And if they can make the fans pay for it in higher tickets and merch and all of that, that's fine. But like tickets just keep going up and up and up, especially if your team's good, the demand's there. Like I can't help but think if like we don't have a salary cap and these ticket prices keep going up, but then again, people will pay them. So like I already see it with the Bengals, not to totally change subject, but like now that the Bengals are decent, have a quarterback and like I looked at Bengals tickets and like nosebleeds are $170, and that's with the no fees advertisement. So like it's you can't afford to go to a Bengals game, and how much they're. But like again, they also have a salary cap, so I know it doesn't fix that, but
I, I
I
think
just wonder
what
if they're connected.
Well, not to go conspiracy theory, and we have kind of gone off track a little bit from the baseball. I'll try and bring it back here, and then we'll move on to another subject. But the thing that really is going to drive a change is when enough of the owners that aren't teams like the Yankees and the Dodgers and the Red Sox and the Cubs have simply had enough of the way that things are going. And if they're all happy that the way that things are going right now, basically playing in a league where they may or may not really have a chance to win every year, then nothing is going to change. But in the end, a change like something related to salaries or the way that the players are paid um, ultimately comes down to a league owner vote where 75% of the owners have to agree on this. And I just think that when you look at this trade, there were some conspiracy theories out there about, hey, letting Tarek Skubal go to the Dodgers without much of a fight from anybody else was
I saw
the
those.
owners that weren't them's last straw to say, well, now we're going to go and we're going to band together in the offseason and make sure there's a change. I'm not sure I believe that because, like you said, it is a business. And I think a lot of these guys, even down to the Clevelands and the Colorados of the league, are probably doing pretty well for themselves. And it's going to be hard to convince them, if anybody's even trying to do it, that a change is needed. So, do I think anything's really going to happen? I'm not super confident, and I'm unfortunately more confident that there's going to be a work stoppage as a result. And again, what it comes down to is it's bad for baseball. Hopefully, because that doesn't stop minor league baseball from happening, there will be an outlet for people to do, a game night, and then maybe they will take a look and realize what it's really about. Now, as
Can MLB players play in that? Because like I know when hockey had a lockdown 2005, like NHL players played in like Russia or the AHL. Like, can
Um, because their contracts, I think, are
like I'd imagine stars would because they're guaranteed.
yeah, and
Although I thought hockey was guaranteed. I don't know.
I think if you wanted to, you could probably option or assign a number of guys to go play there. But I'm not sure that there would be a lot of players
Yeah,
that,
injury
yeah, that
risk.
would be
Yeah,
interested in doing that. And yeah,
but if you had a young guy, like why wouldn't
young
you?
guys, yes, I could certainly see that being the case. But a lot of the big name players, you're not going to see Otani going down to play. And
Right? Yeah. No.
yeah,
Tony the
but
trash man.
okay. Well, last segment that we're gonna touch on here, and this is sort of related back to the minor leagues, but a little bit different because they're not associated with the minor leagues. Wanted to get your thoughts, both of you, on what you think about the Savannah Bananas. I know that they've become very popular. I personally have not been to a game of theirs. Maybe someday, with more of a family, it might make sense. But I do think that they have carved out a nice little niche for themselves as far as baseball is concerned. But there are obviously a lot of differences between traditional baseball and what the Bananas are doing. Um, Curious what your thoughts are. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you think the Bananas are a complement to what minor league baseball does? Or do you think that it's a mockery and it shouldn't really even be mentioned in the same sentence?
I don't think it's comparable to minor league baseball.
Okay.
I I think mockery sounds kind of harsh as like a negative. Like it's the Harlem Globetrotters. That's all it is. Like it's so like I think the part that's comparable obviously to minor league baseball is like yeah it's entertaining and you want to like bring it, but like it's not guys that are trying to make the big leagues and try to play professionally, and because minor league baseball is still professional baseball, this clearly is not. Like, but I don't know. I personally don't have a problem with the Nanners. Like, it's maybe not my entire cup of tea. I'd probably still go and check it out, and I think some of the stuff they do is meh. Um, but I think some of the stuff they do is awesome. But like, it's the target is kids and families. Like, I don't like. I think a lot of the baseball purists that get mad about it, like, you're not the target. Like, if you enjoy baseball, yeah, you should still be able to go and maybe enjoy it a little bit, but like that's not the target. So like it's legit just the baseball Globetrotters. Like the
Mhm.
Globetrotters aren't out there playing a 2-3 zone and trying to shut down the commit. Like they're putting on a show and playing basketball while doing it. That's what this banana ball is. So I don't know. I don't have a problem with them at all. Like I said, I'm not a huge like nanner head, but like it's I think sometimes it's annoying when like some baseball like fanatics are just so upset about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think
But
it's more meant for children. I've tried to watch it a couple times on TV, and I just like I know they get like extra points for like trick plays or whatever. Like if the ball's coming to them, they try to do a backflip and catch it, which that is actually one thing that I feel like the in-person experience would be a lot better than the like on TV watch. Because like you said, you're not really going to care about the outcome of the game. There's not much of like a competitive drive that like you're really into the game, care about the outcome. But I do think it's a little ironic that those games might actually be more expensive than MLB games. It's like that popular. So I don't really think you can even compare it to the minors. It's more compare it to the majors at this point.
That's a really good point. I will level with you there because you both have mentioned it's kind of a family friendly environment, and I agree with that. Yet at the same time, to take a family of four to a bananas game, you're probably spending upwards of almost $1,000 to go. I mean, these are going into the hundreds of dollars. They're playing these games in professional football stadiums, and they're only coming around to your city, once a year. And so, yeah, that is interesting. I guess I didn't really consider that. It's not as much from a financial standpoint like the minor leagues. And the other thing is, the Bananas are going to have to constantly reinvent themselves you know a minor league, not a minor league, from a micro perspective. They're going to have to do that because once you've seen the Bananas once with your family, you're probably not going again. So they're constantly having to get new people into the event unless you really enjoyed it or unless you're taking somebody that hasn't been before. I don't know. But Colonel, you made the comparison to the Globetrotters. That is exactly what they're trying to do. I went to the Negro League Museum in Kansas City, and they have a section on the Harlem Globetrotters because one of the Negro League players was integral to the Globetrotters. And then they now have a section for the Savannah Bananas in the same museum because they're so similar to the Globetrotters. So there's absolutely a linkage there. I think that's a good point. But you guys were,
Well,
yeah, go.
actually, can I butt in for a second? I actually just saw a special that like because they're expanding, right? They have like what 6 teams now. Well, one of those teams is the Indianapolis Clowns, which was a former Negro League
Yes.
team. So, like, I guess the Jesse dude, Captain Banana or whatever they call him, like he like worked with the Negro League Museum to basically resurrect that team and kind of pay homage to them. Um, but I don't know. I watched that and that was kind of interesting. But I don't know. I'm just curious the staying power.
Yeah,
I just
what's
like
like
they're selling out the freaking like they can sell out the Coliseum tomorrow. But like I'm very curious to see how long it stays. Is the bubble gonna burst? I think expanding to 6 teams is and then I feel like there's knockoffs, right? Didn't I think the Clipper Stadium just had like a glow baseball type thing, which I just assumed was with the associated with the Bananas, but I don't think it was. I can't remember what the name is off the top of my head. It was like Glow Baseball or um
glow in the dark baseball?
like it looked cool from a thing, but like it seemed like a Bananas knockoff. Like I don't
I
know.
will say,
Plant
going back to the
Banana.
bananas, like this is how you know you're like old or unk status, they call it. Like what like how did they get so much momentum to get sellouts every night? Do they just have good social media? Is there like a prominent star? Like I literally have no idea. It seemed like I just turned on the TV one day and it's like, yeah, these guys are selling out every stadium every night that they go to. I'm like, how did it take them a while to build this up, or did like how did kids really get attracted to this? Like
Well,
that's the thing that doesn't make sense to
I,
me.
I think that the showmanship, the fan interaction, the fact that, and we could go, this is really one that we could go down a whole
Yeah.
new podcast for. But the way that younger generations are consuming content now, I think it lends itself to what the Bananas are trying to do. So whereas, yeah, people our age, and if we're giving away our age, we're over 30, we may not necessarily be as interested in this. People who are, constantly bouncing from one thing to another, which I think is what the younger generations are somewhat doing now. It speaks to them a little bit more.
It's the streamer generation.
Like thumbnail, when you have a baby thumbnail, like they're gonna want to go do kid things. Think about would you rather go to a Bananas game or like go see like Bluey or something? Like I think it's not a bad
For the
alternative for kids.
price, yeah.
Yeah, the price thing I don't like, but like it's I don't know. And I mean, the main dude, hate him or not, like he does a hell of a job. Like the dude's A plus plus promoter. Like he he's smart
Yeah, I think he goes into
and
business schools now.
he's so
He goes
smart with it.
into,
Like yeah,
yeah,
like
he's a very sharp
Mhm.
guy.
he knows how to work it. Like I saw the thing where like he meets with everybody till they're gone. Like he works nonstop. But like I don't know. It's not really a surprise to me it blew up. Like I think people crave that sort of thing, like something different, whatever. It's just that's why I'm just curious about the staying power. I think it has a couple years probably, but like it's gonna reach a point where it's like
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of how the Globetrotters are now. Like they're kind of a dying
No, I don't think they are though.
team or entity.
No, I really
No?
don't. I think that they are constantly reinventing themselves in very nuanced ways. I mean, you can read things about the Globetrotters and what they've done to kind of keep up with the times, if you will. And they talk about that. Like they've been around for decades. So what they were doing when they first started is not what they're doing now because it can't possibly be. It just doesn't, it wouldn't resonate. So I think that if they have a vision and leadership that is similar to what the Globetrotters have had, then there's a possibility that they might surprise us in terms of their longevity. And speaking about the Bananas, but we'll see. It is a hard thing to do, to constantly reinvent yourself.
Mhm. I think it's just crazy to think about what kids, like you said, this could be another podcast. I'll keep it short, but like kids are like drawn to that streamer generation where they just want to see the content. It's not about the competition. Where like when we were kids, like I can remember being 4 years old sitting at the top of the horseshoe and I'm like, this is the coolest thing. Like I'm watching the Buckeyes. I think they played Indiana or something. It wasn't a great game back then, but like to us, it was like those people are like superheroes out there. And I guess maybe that's how they view the Savannah Bananas.
So I think what you're describing is not that different than what the
Yeah,
Bananas
I
are
guess
doing.
you're right. But
Like it's a spectacle, and just I don't know. Like you could go to a Globetrotters game when we were younger, and that's different than if we went to go see Greg Oden play.
but something about like Ohio State beating another team felt more like magical to me than like an act. But
But
maybe
we're
I don't
also
know.
diehard sports fans. Like there
Yeah.
are a lot of kids and families that aren't.
But to your point,
Yeah.
Colonel, if
But-
you're a dad, would you rather go to a Savannah Bananas game or go to watch Bluey? You know, it's a really good comparison because
Maybe Bluey's a bad example because people like Bluey. Like what's
Mhm.
a good like?
The Wiggles.
I don't know. There's 3 princesses at the mall. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not quite there
the
yet.
Wiggles would be
I'll find
awesome.
out probably pretty soon.
I'd take the wigs over the bananas.
All right. Well,
Captain Feathersword.
beers on him.
Beers on
him.
me.
Beers on me,
Yeah.
Feathersword.
All right. Well, I think we've
The
done
Kernel
a
was
Free beer night at Orlando Fire
There you go.
Frogs.
I think we've done a really excellent job of penning the love letter to minor league baseball. Before we sign off for this episode, if you are somebody who enjoyed this and you want to know more about minor league baseball, this is probably not the podcast. We're not a minor league baseball podcast, but there are a couple of resources that I want to point you to that I've enjoyed. If you're a book reader, Where Nobody Knows Your Name by John Feinstein is a really good book about minor league baseball and how the players that are involved in it are kind of reacting to being in that environment. Great book. And if you're somebody who likes to listen to podcasts, there is an official minor league baseball podcast. It's called The Show Before the Show. It's hosted by Tyler Mon and Sam Dykstra. They do a really good job of breaking down kind of the nitty gritty about minor league baseball and what goes on at the lower levels of baseball. And so those are two places that I'll shout out before we end this show. But as we head out for the evening, we went a little bit longer than we expected to. Kernel and Thumbnail, are either one of you guys gonna flip on the Hall of Fame game after this episode?
Absolutely not.
Oh, I already was watching.
Okay.
Shout out Mike Tomlin,
it-
debut on the TV, and
NFL preseason's like my least favorite thing in the world.
yeah.
All right. Well, we have lots of football coming the way of the podcast, though. So that's the sneak or the teaser for future episodes. If you're a new listener, make sure to follow us, like us, subscribe to us on all the major socials and your listening platform of choice. Longtime listeners, thank you for being back as well. And hopefully we'll see you on the next one. But until next time, signing off for the Kernel, for the Thumbnail, and Becks, take it easy, Shuckers.